This is the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast, with Erolai, Kreese, and Mark, bringing you all your Defo news and talk. Welcome to Season 4, the LDBT era. Now let's start the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 138 of the Crystal Chronicles, recorded this February 4th, 2021. I'm Mark, and I often forget what day it is. How are you doing in this COVID world where dates don't mean anything? Well, I am your host of the Crystal Chronicles, and I am joined by my co-hosts. You know her. Her name is Arrow. She's got a new picture to gaze upon for a few seconds before I switch to gameplay. Arrow, how are you doing?
Good, fantastic, Mark.
Excellent. And back from the Abyss. No, we're going to talk about Abyss later tonight, but it is the Professor of Evaluations. Kreese, how are you doing? Welcome back.
Thank you. I am still exhausted. My work schedule is crazy busy, but I am happy to be back after my stints of not being around. Also, my right hand is doing a lot. I'm happy about that, too. It is exciting to be back. I'm happy to be back.
Well, we are glad to have you, Kreese, and chat agrees and is glad that your hand is feeling better as well. Well, we have a whole bunch of things to catch up on from the events sandwiched together, although we're going to have a couple brief spells this month where there's not a lot of events going on. But right now we do have a few characters to talk about and a couple events. But before we do, there is some sales to talk about. Oh, let's before we get to the sales, let's talk about TCC Challenge. Our friend Macnell, DissidiaFFOO.com, puts together with some of our folks the TCC Challenge, the Crystal Chronicles Challenge. You're familiar with them. Macnell has also been overwhelmed with work and life, and so did take a couple weeks off, but has shared some back-to-back TCC challenges, so we do have them tonight. There is a World of Illusions Divine Diabolos TCC Challenge. That was for our Divine boards. We banned only Ramza and Ramza Call, no burst phase. So that wasn't a lot of bans, but it did make it challenging because Ramza really does bring everything to the kit. So the winners of this are Kool-Aid Master 3000, Dystopia Clay, and apparently Kool-Aid Master 3000 did it twice, CSDX, Ganro, Ninnong MP8, Theologica, who's on and just subbed to us before the show, Halifax, who is a TXP gaming person, and Infamous Element, Excalibur, Snoop Ball, and Chef Knife. Congratulations to all of you for completing the TCC Challenge. Of course, a lot of good team comps there. So, now let's talk about costumes. If you haven't been able to gaze upon our GL First has a beautiful costume, and he also is able to equip that golden cac gun, which you are able to buy. We weren't sure last week. The golden cactar gun was $11.99 in the United States. Belthier's very, very fine piratey shirt, a little bit more expensive, obviously. Noelle's costume is also available. I own it. I'm not sure why, but if you're interested in that as well. So lots of different things to pick up here today. So, Arrow, did you splurge on the golden cactus?
No, I hate that thing. It's ugly. Get rid of it.
Kreese, any thoughts about the weapon gloss? You weren't with us last week.
I did not get it. No.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I don't blame anyone who did go for it, but it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, it looks great on Zaz with the dual wield cactus. Sarathi says, it's hilarious. I'm glad it exists. So yeah, it is what it is. So there are going to be more weapon glosses in the future. So just pay attention to that, and we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what you can do with that. Well, let's talk about this Abyss event. A lead to the thick of it, and that did bring us our GL first. Did we get character C? Oh, jeez. Oh, Mino. I have no idea. Why are we talking about that? Characters 35 CP on chocobo boards early. I'm not, have no conception.
I don't know.
What's that in reference to? Oh, Guy has it
on new choco boards.
Guy has it on the new choco boards. Oh, that's interesting. Let's take a derailing the podcast. I guess that would be news, to see if we can. I'm loading it right now.
I didn't even know that was a thing, but cool, I guess.
So when you do a new event, there was a time when we didn't get weapons, but when you do a new event now, you do get a 15 CP and 2 armors, the first armors for a new character. Mino is saying that on the panel missions for the new event, we do get Guys 35
Rayleigh
CP.
Was saying Japan got it with Aranea.
Yes, so if you look at these new enhancing Guy panel missions, oh, that's interesting. So these are brand new. This is a brand new type of, So a brand new type of chocobo board. Yeah. So if you look at this enhancing Guy chocobo panel, if you master his Afreet boards, you basically get enough points to do Shiva for free. If you enhance Ramu, you get enough points to do Leviathan. If you do Brothers, you get enough points to do Pandemonium. If you do Diabolos, you get enough points for Alexander. If you do Odin, you get enough points for Bahamut. So basically, if you spend the time leveling up Guy and mastering his boards, you get half the boards for free. You also get his 35 CP, and you get some artifacts for him. So that's really cool. So for the new characters, and it sounds like we are getting this earlier, because as we talk about, GL always gets things earlier and more. You can argue with me all you want, YouTube, but show me where it's not. So yeah, this is a really nice thing.
Cleared rewards, yeah. Mark. Can you hit the cleared rewards button for pros?
Yeah. So thank you. That's a good point. The cleared rewards are more upgrade materials, artifacts, bloom tokens. Plenty of art. So if you do the whole thing, you'll get a whole bunch of arts for him, so you don't have to art farm, and you get the upgrade materials to upgrade your art. So wow, yeah, that's really nice. So this is something to look forward to for Summit Biscuits. I guess I wasted all that time getting extra wild board points. Well, as long as you only did wild points for Ifrit, Ramu, Brothers, Diabolos, and Odin, you're fine. It's just every other one. It's going to be if you have wild points for all your summon boards, it's going to be a real easy chocobo board to get, and you're going to have not waste them on the other things. So so that's cool. I knew nothing about this. This is brand new news to me. Black Cloud is confirming they stopped doing this in Japan. So who knows? Again, they do go down to 1 new character a month. I think we're already at that. So yeah, weird. So so maybe incentive, especially for newer players to try to get Gao. So anyway, let's go back in time before we're going to talk all about Gao. Guy. That other guy, that guy with G, whose name is Guy, from Final Fantasy II, who just came out 10 minutes ago. The show's going real well. I'm glad. How's everybody doing? The show's going real well. We're real glad you're here tonight. Let's talk about Balthier, because we did not get a chance to actually talk about him while we've had an opportunity to use him. So, Kreese, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Balthier, what his LD is all about.
Yeah. So Balthier, the only thing he got here was his LD weapon. He didn't get any buffs to his base kit, no changes. But his base kit is a pretty sizable boost, or his LD is a pretty sizable boost because it does give him a new special ability above his kits. You know, like the other things. It's called Sky Plying Straw. The way it works is that while he has his LD passive equipped, or his LD weapon, he starts at level 1 of it. At every turn, he gets another level of it. So after 5 turns, he's at level 5, or if he steals a buff, he gets 2 levels of it. It goes up to 5 levels, and basically what it does is once he gets to max, he gets an extra 50 attack, 50 max brave, 20% brave damage, 20% HP damage, and he sends it to the full party. It's basically a very, very strong party aura that he gives to everyone once he gets to full power. Now, it takes several turns for him to power up, unless he's stealing buffs on every turn, which, you know, sometimes it happens. Sometimes he gets a couple of fights where he can do that, but that's not always the case. It is still guaranteed that after a few turns, he will get to that point. So this does give him some nice party utility. His LD ability, however, is just Tides of Fate. He gets 3 uses of this, and the way it works is that it will remove all debuffs from party members, so it's a pretty nice debuff cleanse. It's a strong AoE, enemy AoE Brave plus HP attack that does full damage to the whole enemy party. It'll steal 3 random buffs from each enemy and put them on Balthier and extend them by 1 turn. And it'll also raise him to level 3 of Way of the Sky Pirate and give him 8 turns of that. So if he loses Way of the Sky Pirate for any reason, he can quickly get back up to 3. It's a pretty nice way to do that. And that's all he really got. Beyond that, he's basically just a ranged damager. He still steals buffs, he's still a dispeller, he's still a cleanse. He now has a party cleanse ability, which is really nice for those times where you get a nasty debuff wave, like a Marlboro wave. And again, he has that nice party utility with the auras. The HP damage boost especially is really nice. There is not a lot more to say to him. I mean, he's a pretty simple character, all things said. It's pretty straightforward. He has 16 base skills, so he has a nice amount of skills he can use. His EX is decently fast charging, and that's about it. I was able to pull his LD. I've been using it a decent amount. It seems decently powerful. We'll see what happens once we get past fights that don't favor him quite as much. We'll see. Anyways, Arrow, what are your thoughts on Balthier?
He's awesome. Now, the thing is, hold on a second. The thing is with him, though, not getting a rework and then having the attacker armor, it's just so weird to me. But I think he is a serviceable damage dealer on his own. Now, would I say he's a primary? No, but he's a pretty good secondary. And he's very easy to pair with so many characters because he himself doesn't have but 2 framed buffs. And he has this overhead. And so you can flood him with buffs if you want to from a bunch of characters, such as Pinello, who's coming out later this month. And of course, Ramza, because, that's who he's paired with as the BT partner. And I think that's great. He's a very cool character in the sense that he can enable a lot of different teams. He's going to make some of our other older characters much better simply because of that overhead aura. And honestly, I think he's an absolute blast to have around, especially with turn-stealing characters or launch characters. Dessel's amazing with him. And honestly, I've just really enjoyed finding weird combinations for him. I also enjoy him a lot with 9, especially paired with the battery, because your damage is now 30% greater. So your shield, or what is it? It's 30%, right? Or is it 20% more HP damage? I don't remember. But anyway.
It's 20.
20.
It's 20. Okay. So he's doing 20% more damage. That means whenever you do damage with 9, your shields are going to be 20% better because of that. So he's great. I love him. He's a really fun character. There's a lot of really fun potentials for him. Very easy to slot into teams. I think he's an excellent global first LD we've gotten. I'm very happy to have him, even though he cost me a pity again. Hopefully, Gaia is merciful to my gems when I pull after the show tonight.
Yeah, I like Belthier a lot. I think he's unique enough with his mechanics. You know, we do have other characters that dispel. We do have other characters that cleanse. We do have other characters that provide some similar kind of support. But the fact that his is overhead, that his brave and HP damage up are overhead, they can't be dispelled. They're not based on a debuff. That's super awesome. And the fact that I've always liked the ability that he has to steal buffs from enemies. It's not always useful. It's always fun. And it can be really interesting depending on the fight. So, I mean, he really does fit nicely into any team. Obviously, people are still using Charlotta. People are still using Kurasame for similar reasons to kind of up damage for other characters. And so Belthier's going to find use in a similar way, but he also does bring additional roles in terms of the ability to debuff, the ability to cleanse, the ability to just look great in a pirate shirt, the ability to use weapon gloss. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons that you might be interested in him. So, for me, the difference between Belthier and the next two characters we're going to talk about, Caius and Guy, is Belthier has enough unique mechanics that make him interesting that he was worth pulling on. Now, he's also a favorite, so, I mean, that trumps everything. And he's a GL first, which also trumps everything. Yeah, Belthier is perfect for perfect third for runs that don't want to give bosses any turns. Exactly right. And I mean, again, that's people were using Charlotta, people were using Kurasame for that specific reason. And Belthier is going to do the same thing, and perhaps do it better in some respects. So, but yeah. So there's not a lot of overlap with things he does right now. And again, I think the other thing with the GL first is the fights moving forward haven't been tailored to him. And we did talk about last week, and I think Black Nero's talked about it in some of his videos. Tonberry Troupe, maybe I think I've heard some other content creators even talk about it. There are some other fights that you may not want to pull on, like Arciella, like Ceodor, that people are already thinking about skipping, and Belthier will fill in those needs for those Leuphania orbs. But yeah, he's going to be great. He's a GL first. You should probably pull him if you haven't, unless you don't have any resources, then don't. Definitely not a must-have, but we're just not in an era of must-haves. There's been a couple, there's no such thing as a must-have in Defo. There are definitely some characters that make life a lot easier. Gladiolus, for example, is one of those characters. Lightning, if you want to cheese the hell out of everything, definitely one of those characters. There's not been a ton of characters in the LDBT era that really fit into that category of you have to have them, or they really, really do make life easier for months on end. The one that everyone's talking about is Paladin Cecil, who does, again, some of that same stuff, boosting party damage at the end of the day. So, but yeah, Belthier's always been a lot of fun to use. I think he's going to be fun to use. There's fights like this one that we're going to talk about tonight, the Caius fight, where the boss gets a frame buff that gives the entire party attack down. And that's a great buff to steal, because then it gives the attack down and you can pair it with some more attack down, and you can just nerf the boss's attack. Now it takes some planning, take some strategy, you take some team building, or you can just throw him on and do damage. So, I mean, in one sense, he's a really plug-and-play character, because you throw Belthier on a team, he's doing damage, he's adding to damage, he's providing some utility, or you can get big-brained and, really understand the boss battle, especially bosses that get those frame buffs, and build teams around it to really just destroy the bosses and have fun with it in another different way. So he comes at it both angles. I think he's a win-win. And I'm really happy. I'm really happy about the direction they're going. I really like the GL first LDs. I hope this is not the only one we get this year. They've talked about a few of them. I hope we get a few more because, it allows us to play a character for longer. I was just thinking about, Final Fantasy VIII is my favorite of the series. Squall's going to get another tuning pass. Now Renoa's getting another tuning pass, but Zell gets his LD. But Irving, Selphie, Kistis still in Japan don't have LDs. So, there's a lot of characters that just haven't gotten another tuning pass over a year, over 2 years without getting a tuning pass, without getting upgraded to the level where they can really be used well in current content. And so anytime a character gets more opportunity to come back and be used, I think it's a win-win. Obviously, if it's a character you like I like Belthier, it's a win-win-win. But regardless, the more characters we have more access to, I think it's great. I hope they keep doing it. All those, again, I said it last week, all those people who are terrified. Kistis LD was announced for this month. Cool. Look forward to that. So all those people just were hoping for another Aranea so they can just not pull for the next 6 months. You don't have to pull for the next 6 months. You can skip whoever you want. People were stressing out on Discord today, on our Discord. You can join our Discord, TCC. You can go to tccpodcast.com. If I remember to re-up for the domain name, I got to pay for that this month. So tccpodcast.com or Twitch, YouTube, all that link. You can get the links to our Discord. They are correct. And join our community. Or you can just follow the link there in Twitch, which Chris so wonderfully shared for us. But yeah, people were stressing out about, there's so many good characters coming out, and they're all good. So choose some to pull on and some not to. I mean,
Balthier's, he definitely fills that niche, cleanser and dispeller. So, I would recommend looking at your roster and seeing if you need to fill that niche. I think looking forward, who's the next dispeller cleanser that we have coming up?
Arciela.
Arciela, but
Arciela, dispeller, Ferris, dispeller. Oh, Pinello.
I don't think she dispels.
Esna.
Yeah, so Arciela is coming up in about a month.
Pinello.
Arciela, I think it's Ferris, so that's a bit of a long wait.
Yeah, Pinello.
Arciela is beginning of March predicted.
Pinello Esna cleanses. And Theodore cleanses too, right? Yeah. So.
Pinello cleanses?
Well, that's what they're saying in chat. Pinello and LD
she
cleanses.
But she doesn't dispel.
She does not dispel, no. No, there.
Arciela, and then I think Ferris.
There's no one else that does it. And Belthier is the only one that is physical damage too, right? In that.
Yeah.
And I mean, you already have Beatrix who passed, and honestly, we know kind of how underwhelming she can be. But I know people say don't pair Balthier with Beatrix, but I honestly thought it kind of helped. They helped each other out in a lot of different ways, personally speaking. But
Mello is melee, but she does very little physical damage.
Well, let's look at the podcast polls and see what we had for our community. Again, Quetzalma, Material Bot, does these wonderful podcast polls for us. And it gives you a little sense of what the community is doing. Let me just double check here. So just across 6 servers for this one, 4 willing to pity Ramses BT, 58 willing to pity the LD. That tells you it's pretty highly anticipated banner, even though it's only on 6 servers. 29 gems, 113 tickets, and only 21 brave souls skipping. So maybe those were people that just got it on the the free poll. So this did bring us an abyss. And it was a short abyss. I mean, it was kind of the same length as a character event or maybe a lost chapter, a little shorter than a lost chapter. You did not have to move different teams. You could basically use the same team because there was only one stratum or one level for this abyss. So it wasn't like previous abysses where there was substratum where you had to use different teams. This abyss also brought a Leuphania Fight. And if you had Belthier in any form, EX fully realized, EX just realized, EX only, 35 only, didn't matter. As long as you had Belthier, this was much, much easier. The requirements for all of the nodes, but specifically the Leuphania node, were a Final Fantasy XII character, a gun-wielding character, and two, and this is where the big problem is, where this becomes really restrictive, 2 yellow characters. So you need 2 yellow crystal colors, 1 from 12, 1 gun wielder. Obviously, Belthier takes care of all of those requirements, so that you just need 1 additional yellow character. And guess who's yellow? Half the cast. Bosch is yellow. Lightning is yellow. Who else did people use?
Rude.
Rude is yellow. You know, there's a lot of newer characters. Ramza is yellow.
Yeah, Ramza's
yeah,
yellow.
Ramza is yellow, right. So there's a lot of new, up-to-date, very usable characters, including the current 2 weeks energy, including her brokenness lightning, including the healing
Fran, who's
battery.
on the banner,
Yeah, and Fran.
is also yellow.
So
Noel, who is on the Caius banner, is yellow.
Oh, Noel is yellow too. Well,
Yeah.
this fight,
Noel isn't great, but
no,
he's yellow.
but you know, it's an option for Noel. This fight is the
Bosch?
heretic. Yeah, Bosch is from 12 and yellow. Fran from 12 and yellow as well. This fight is one wave. Heretic Marilis Gloria, the same fight as Beatrix's Lost Chapter Leuphania, just less restrictive in that these do not absorb or double resist dark damage. They are immune to HP, attack, disable, which is unfortunate. And the Leuphania orb is based on dispelling. Guess what? Belthier does that very, very well. You can go on to Macnol's guide, DissidiaFFOO.com. We've already gone over. You can go listen to our episode on the Beatrix. We went through this detailed. They're a real pain in the butt. You need to make sure you time your dispels to keep the orb up. You need to make sure that they are not hitting you with their recast ability. You definitely want to cheese it if possible. The problem with this particular fight is that there were not a lot of options if you did not bring Belthier. In fact, if we look at the call to arms, again, DissidiaFFOO.com, of the 55 runs, I believe there is only 1 run on the entire call to arms which does not use Belthier. And that privilege went to MZ Pro, who brought Lightning, LDBT, Zaz, and Bosch. Lightning, yellow. Bosch, yellow, Final Fantasy XII, Zaz, gun wielder. With, if you want to be clear, Diablos. Now, Diablos does, because this is not resistant to dark, Diablos is an option for your cleanse, because Diablos, fully upgraded, cleanses the bosses, allows you to uptake the orb. So that is a nice option that we didn't have with Beatrix's Lost Chapter. So we decided to do a TCC challenge. The TCC challenge was no Belthier, no burst. Easy enough. No Belthier, no burst. You can use Belthier's call ability. We have no winners for the TCC challenge, which tells me all the people who are like, oh yeah, this was really, really easy. I brought Belthier and Lightning. I brought Belthier and Ramza. I brought Belthier and Gladio. I brought Belthier, Warrior of Light. Remove that one character, and this may be the most restrictive Leuphania we've had, because you have to bring Belthier, or you have to bring a burst, because MZ Pro was not able to do that without Lightning's burst, and no one else has been able to replicate that without Lightning's burst. Which means this may be one of the most, if not the most restrictive Leuphania fights we've had in the game, nearly forcing you to either have a specific burst weapon, Lightning's burst, or a specific character, Belthier. Now, on the other hand of that, you do not necessarily need Belthier's LD, but I'm not really sure. I mean, Theologica is on with us. Theologica today, Belthier 35 only with a Metatillion and Lightning. I think that's Theologica.
I've seen a couple runs in here with Balthier 35, but they heavily load it in the favor of Balthier 35, Ramza Burst, Beatrix LD, Balthier 35, Lightning Burst, Ami LD, that sort of thing.
Well, and I don't
Lightning
think
LD, Balthier 35, Ramza Burst. Those are very strong teams here.
I don't think the people that carried Belthier 35 would consider that easy. I mean, again, Theologica's here; they could speak for themselves. But I don't think they would consider that an easy run. I'll see if anybody else that we know was on here.
Element saying that sometimes done the challenge, gotten into the red a few times, but bosses sometimes won't give themselves buffs, and the Leuphania Orb will trigger. You're just screwed.
Yeah, exactly. And there is an RNG element, a random element to how they buff and when they buff. And so if they don't buff themselves appropriately, you don't have the buffs to dispel, which means you're out of luck. Mistleton, we talked about that a little bit. Apparently, this is something we got a little bit earlier than JP did in terms of new characters getting their own set of boards, although Black Nero says that currently that's not happening in JP, so we'll see how long it lasts. But it's nice that we got it a little bit early. So good to reshare that as well. So I'm trying. I mean, I used Belthier and Ramza and Gladiolus. It was not hard. With those three, it was really easy actually. Gladiolus tanks and Ramza and Belthier support they all support. They all add auras and stacking damage and launching and awesomeness, and it's really nice. Arrow, how did you approach this?
I used Belthier, Rude, and 9. It was really
right.
I used Beatrix in my practice run, but I was like, no, that was boring. I don't want to do that. So Rude with 9 was really baller. And then on top of that, adding Belthier, those shields were just, they were chef kiss beautiful. They could go beyond they were 43 to 60 something K, depending on the place I was at in the fight. Loved it. Absolute blast. And it just kind of, I wanted to showcase using Belthier maybe in a more defensive oriented setup. And I thought it worked out really nice.
So, Chris, what are your thoughts? I know you haven't had time to do the Leuphanias. You're not caught up on them yet, but am I overselling that this is restrictive, or is it just what it is? I don't know.
I remember the original fight, and I'm going to share a secret. I still haven't beaten the original fight. It's still sitting there. That lost chapter's still sitting there cleared because it was such a hard fight to begin with. So even a slightly tweaked version of it, I'm not looking forward to trying it again. I'm going to try to get it done this time because it's going away in 2 weeks. So yeah. I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss the time-limited version of it this time around. It's going to suck. Luckily, I have Balthier, so that'll help a lot. And I have... the problem with it is that, as the SDX is saying in chat, is that it's restrictive in the sense that you need a very specific character to get through it. If you have that character, you have a decent amount of flexibility in the teams you can bring.
Exactly.
If you do not have that one specific character, you're kind of screwed. And that's the real problem. And it's kind of the way with how Abyss is designed. These codes are designed so that if you bring Balthier, it's very easy to make the goals. And if you do not bring Balthier, it all of a sudden becomes very hard to make everything.
Well, and it's hard because obviously the vast majority of people pulled for Balthier, and so it would be interesting to see, the group of people who maybe tried and didn't have resources to pull, or couldn't pull, or didn't want to pull, and did they struggle with it, or did they just, I'll clear it without the codes and go about my business, or I'll just pass. It depends on how your play style, but and Zerathi, I think you make a good point. It didn't feel like Abyss so much as it felt more like a character event that really forced you to use the character, unlike the character event that I'm playing right now, which doesn't force you to use the character at all, as we will see.
With how short the Abyss was. I expected it to at least be about the length of the VVLD Abyss, and it wasn't. And I'm also disappointed that they required 2 yellow crystal characters. That's really
it would have been a lot less restrictive if they only required 1 yellow crystal user. So that was a strength. I mean, again, that the 2-week synergies Ramza, so it's really trying to force you to use Balthier and Ramza, which they work great together, so why not? But it tries to pigeonhole you in there. I'm not terribly disappointed in the fact that it was not a long Abyss, because we just got back to back events. So we're just coming off of Divine Diabolos, and then we just got this new Abyss, and now we just got a Lost Chapter, and now, I mean, within a week within 10 days, we've had 4 major events. So yeah, and as Valerius is saying, King is on the banner too, and he's not great anymore. I like King a lot, but yeah, he's not kept up with the power creep. He
hasn't had a banner in a while, and I think he hasn't had like a chance to farm co-op arts in an even longer time. So I was okay with him being there. I just was like, okay, I guess it kind of makes sense. They were just trying to show like how another damage dealer that's weaker could be powered up through Balthier, and I guess the range and peril from Fran. It's whatever.
Yeah, there's some folks in chat, saying, we'd complain about, some people would complain about long, new chapters and, just kind of long drawn out chapters. And I don't think anybody wants that. But, like the permanent Abyss content, I think we all have said that we really like that. It makes you think, use a lot of different teams, not just like easy nodes like I'm doing right now, right? Where, who cares? But, to have a number of chaos level fights or even Leuphania level fights that were different, that's something we would look forward to in a future Abyss. Obviously, this was a special character driven, GL first anniversary Abyss. I'm fine with it being as short as it was, no problems at all. But definitely, I think we all loved the regular Abyss content quite a bit. So, all right.
Yeah, for time limited events, I prefer they stay within a certain length, because when they get too long, then it becomes stressful trying to complete everything in time.
Yeah, CSDX is saying hot take chaos level fights are mostly face roll now. Yeah, I mean, future Abyss has to have multiple Leuphanias, right? You have to have multiple Leuphania nodes, or else it would be. Yeah, I've seen people stressing about the elite hunts. The elite hunts are chaos, and people are like, oh, I got the raptors, or oh, I got the colorless. Like, people, it's a chaos fight. Bring an LD character, you'll be fine, right? Like, there's nothing to worry about. You'll be okay. Chaos fights are not difficult for these new characters at all. But yeah, moving forward, we would hope, I think, for Leuphania as an Abyss and Leuphania Plus. Oh wait, that's JP talk. Sorry. Well, let's keep talking. We got more stuff to talk about. Hope all your Balthier pulls went great. Hope you're enjoying Balthier. Looking forward to seeing how people are going to use this unknown resource or unknown tool in our toolbox moving forward, because I think there's some fun possibilities. I think it's a little funny that the next 2 fights we're going to talk about are range resist, but so it goes. Can't win them all. But that brings us to Caius's Lost Chapter, Keeper of the Farseer. Caius gets a rework, a small rework, level 80 and LDs with LD boards and call abilities. So, Kreese, if you want to take us over Caius, I know you pulled for him as well.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I pulled for him when he first arrived. It's not that surprising I'd pull for him again. Caius is one of my favorite villains. So, yeah. He did get a little bit of a rework this time around, so he got a little stronger. Big changes he got were some additional ability uses, and also the big thing he got was he got his debuff potencies increase, so
Yeah.
they're actually viable debuffs now. That was the big problem he was suffering from before, was that his debuffs just really weren't up to par, despite the fact they were framed debuffs. So they're actually pretty decent now. And the fact that they take up 4 slots total isn't quite such a sting for him as they used to be. Other changes that happened, when he loses Heart of Chaos, he doesn't lose the stat gains anymore.
Yeah.
So he retains that. He obviously loses the ability to restore health and get fully healed when he dies, but again, he has that free get out of jail free card once during the fight, and now he just keeps those stats. That's really good. Excuse me. The other thing that he gets, he has a little bit more splash damage, I think, now on Eye of Bahamut, or did he always have 50% splash damage? He always had 50%, sorry. The other big thing he got is Giga Graviton, his LD ability. The way this works is it's 4 ability uses. If the target's already afflicted by Doom Chaos, it will unbreak the targets and then insta-break them. So basically, he gets a free unbreak break, and then he gets multiple AoE Brave plus HP dumps. He gets pushed straight to he gets 3 body and soul stacks, so he basically goes to 5. If he's at 2 or 3, he starts at 3, so he'll go to 5. If he's at 2, he'll go to 3. It's a way to get caught up again if he drops low or at some point during the fight. And he also gets a free ability use on his next turn, which helps him for basically refreshing his buffs more frequently during combat. Because remember, one of the big issues Kaias had was maintaining his debuffs for the fight. So now he can use them on Eye of Bahamut more frequently. And that's it. That's the big stuff he got. He has slightly stronger Brave plus and HP plus pluses, but he isn't that different. He's still basically the same character, which means he still has the same weaknesses. He's very selfish in the way he works. He has a very strong HP regen and Brave regen. He's very self-sufficient, which is very strong. He doesn't really need much to keep going on his own. He can launch on his EX, but it's a slow charging EX. He won't be able to do that too often. He hits really hard with both his with all of his abilities, especially if he's targeting debuffed enemies. He applies pretty strong debuffs. If you time Doom Chaos correctly, you can cause insta breaks on very opportune moments during combat, which is really, really useful. He's just very solid all around. Downside, he needs 4 debuff slots, and these are framed debuff slots, so he does not play nice with other debuffers. He basically is your debuffer for the fight. If you bring other debuffers, they can really only take 1 or 2 other slots top. Otherwise, you'll be fighting for debuff slots, so keep that in mind. He also doesn't really bring any utility beyond his debuff. That is it. He also has very infrequent launches. You cannot really rely on him for frequent launches. He is not even at the frequency of like Zidane launches. It's less frequent than that. So be careful. And I think that's it. He hasn't, as I said, he hasn't really transformed much. He just is a very consistent character because he has such high Brave regen and the fact he has HP regen. He will never really suffer from Brave damage reduction because he's just regenerating so much Brave and health per stack. He's just a self-sufficient character all around. He works really well on his own. You can just stick him in a party and he'll do okay. Anyways, that's my spiel for him. Arrow, do you have any thoughts on Kaias?
I have a few. He is definitely not somebody you want to think of as your main party shaver. He's in this weird spot where it's like you want to take him as like a main damage dealer, but only if you have, I guess, alternative ways to deal with bosses when they gain, I guess, a lot of Brave. He does have his ways of dealing with that with like the Doom debuff and everything. It's just, I think he's one of those characters that building around him is a bit tricky, but the debuffs are very good overall now since he's been buffed. It's just really hard to find exactly how to get him right. And I think that's what's going to prove to be his downfall for a lot of players and why they're not going to have much interest in him, because debuff style gameplay or defensive style gameplay action that could help him are not very popular methods of winning battles. People like big numbers and they like hitting with big numbers. They don't, you know what I mean? He's just not as simple as a plug and play character as some of these others we've had recently. And so I think he's good, but only if you are into a certain play style will I think he really appeal to most people. Mark, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have Caius's kit because I have an addiction, I guess, in this game.
Are you saying you have a problem, Mark?
Yeah, no. So I have Ramza, and I went into this Lost Chapter. I don't have Null. I didn't have Caius EX. And Lise, I didn't think Lise and Ramza were just going to be able to like duo it. Ramza's fine, but he's not lightning. Like he's just going to carry one other person with him. So I mean, it was possible. It was possible. Obviously, Lise and Ramza could have probably carried Caius or Null, but I'm like, throw a few tickets, see what I got, and yeah, 3 or 4 tickets in, I got his LD. I'm like, oh crap. Well, let me throw 50 tickets and see what I get. And I did get his EX, so I built him up. Made the challenge quest much easier, thankfully, and the Leuphania much easier, very truthfully. I have the same problem with Caius I'm going to have with Guy here in a minute. They have some overlapping roles that other people that we have also do, and maybe in one sense do better. Caius really only has 2 things. He's melee damage, he's debuffs. Well, obviously we have other characters who are really good melee damage dealers, especially characters with BT weapons. The BT weapon damage dealers have a whole nother phase. Obviously, that's very nice. Using my resources. Yeah, why not? There's no reason. I don't like to play this game any more than I have to. I like to watch other people stream for 30 hours and lose over and over and over again, but I don't like to do that. So I like to beat the content and then just watch other people suffer. That's my preferred play style. But he doesn't bring he has a unique debuff called Doom that after 2 turns instant breaks. To be the kind of player that can time that instant break with a 2-turn debuff, you got to be pretty good. I don't feel like you have to know the fight, you have to know when, and then you got to plan accordingly. So it's just kind of a nice thing when it happens. Your average player is not getting a lot of longevity out of Doom. It's just a nice thing when it happens. Plus, it empowers a lot of his other abilities. Great. Compared to his other contemporary debuffers like Kefka, who has blind and HP silence, like Edward, who has sleep. Who else am I forgetting? Kamari has that one debuff, right? That debuff.
True blind? Are you talking about true blind?
Yeah, true blind. There's other debuffs, but there are these specific like shutdown debuffs that really can change the tide. Caius really doesn't have that. He does take 4 slots, like Emotes takes 4 slots. That limits him, but you can pair him with other people. I don't think that's as big an issue that it could be. Now again, Emotes deletes turns and does other things like that. That being said, his max brave down is 50%, and if you pair that with other max brave down, you can do some crazy shenanigans with max brave down, and that can be fun if that's your playstyle, especially with poison and int brave down. I mean, there's some debuff teams that you can pretty much create with Caius that probably would be fun if that's your preferred playstyle. Mino was at my front door. He's knocking. That's probably the snow plow. As yes, you saw those of you listening at home on the podcast. My front doorbell motion detector went off on my phone. That's just probably the snow plows. We got quite a few inches of snow coming down as we speak. So, I've enjoyed using Caius. I'm sure I really like his call because you press his normal call, 4 debuffs automatically on the enemies. You get his LD call, 4 debuffs automatically just because he comes into the field. So every time he comes into the field, 4 debuffs. I like that. That's cool. That's going to come in handy. I'm glad I have it. I'm glad I'm going to use it. I'm going to find uses for him off and on. No problem. If you want to pass, I think this is a good couple weeks to pass, even moving forward. If you're finding some banners to kind of recoup on, I think this is one. But if you really like the debuff shenanigans, if you really like to try to stack debuff mechanics, you probably already pulled for Caius, and I think you're not going to regret it because he does have some interesting debuffs. I mean, the defense down, the poison, and the Embrave down have some interesting ability when it comes to stacking, especially I think the Max Brave down. So, I think probably Guy and Caius, 2 of the more underhyped characters here in this era for a couple different reasons. But part of the reason is they just have a lot of contemporaries that do similar things, some of whom do things easier, I just make the bosses unable to hit with debuffs, or, I put them to sleep with debuffs, or, that kind of stuff. Or they skip turns, paralyzed, that kind of stuff. So he doesn't do that. So you have to play a little bit easier. But yeah, you can combo with Caius calls, which is easier, most likely. But it's an option. Let's look at the podcast polls here, as I'm doing a couple things here at once. I'm going to imagine
there's not much interest in this banner. Let's be honest.
Lots
of disinterest.
So, only on 4 servers for this one.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure why some servers skipped this altogether.
Yeah, it just may be the time. Of the servers, 10 willing to pity, 3 using gems, 44 tickets, and 40 skip. Very different than the very, very different than what we had. Although poor Guy is going to find a similar fate here in a second. So that does bring us to the Leuphania Fight. And again, you can go to Dissidia.info and get all the goods on the Leuphania Fight. You fight 2 metal drums, which are kind of like the frost giant types. They're that lurking giant where they hit and they break and do more damage. But they're kind of android looking or golem kind of looking versions of that. They're called metal drums. Their Leuphania orb is based on debuffing. You need to increase the count of the Leuphania orb. You need to do 4 debuffs in one action, which means you can spread 2 debuffs over the 2 enemies. So as long as both of them are alive, if you have a character like Caius who comes into the board doing 4 debuffs on both, with his LD, fine. Or if his skill 2, I think, applies 2 or 3, then that's 4 or 6 across the board, easy. So, but there are a lot of other characters that do that. For example, HaateXIII, Zidane, Gabranth, Kefka, Dark Knight Cecil, Desh, Fran, Xdeath, Lael, Shantoto, Arciella. I've seen several Arciella runs. Garnet, Eldnarsh, the Emperor, Kistis, Vanille, and Fujin. All of those people. Thank you for, first of all, thank you, Raw Life. I forgot to shout you out for the gifts. Appreciate that. All those people.
That's
all
right.
Those
Zidane
people
can be used.
Yes, Zidane's Stellar Circle and Free Energy both are able to be used. And unlike the last Leuphania, which said was fairly restrictive, this Leuphania is not restrictive at all, because as long as you pretty much so they have a couple other mechanics. That's their Leuphania orb. You need to be able to apply debuffs. Their other is their recast ability, which normally isn't that bad, but they can power it up. You just need to launch them, and it doesn't have to be like the last one where you have to do 200,000 damage, just as long as they are launched. So you can bring any call launch, any temporary launcher, you can break that, so their recast will be depowered. And then they have another aura, which basically gives them extra shield, and you just need to break. And we have all kinds of characters that instant break, including Ramza instant breaks, including Caius's Doom ability instant breaks. So, so if you bring some launch, if you bring debuff, if you bring instant break, this is not going to be hard. You bring, you bring a good tank to help, especially with this type of enemy. Warrior of Light or Gladiolus really shines in this. Thank you again, Raw Life. I'm assuming every time we shout out the leading man, we'll just have you give subs. Appreciate that. So you don't have to do that every time we do that, but yes, we do love his tailiness. So I used Ramza, Caius, and Belthier. What's this? I used this exact team that I have up in front of me, except I used a different summon. I forget which one. So you don't need a tank if you play smart. Tank would make it a lot easier. Saw plenty of Gladiolus runs. That's not an issue at all. So, Arrow, how did you approach this? I'm sure you did it a little less conventionally than I did.
No problem. I actually used Furion, and because of that range, I had to bring an enchanter. So I chose Fusion, and then I had to round it out with the real leading man, Zidane, however you want to say it. So yes, I did use him in my video, and I had a lot of fun. I did use my BT for Furion in this one, but I didn't really care. I just wanted to. I'm using a team I want to use. So I'm gonna win how I'm gonna win. Anyway, do you want me to talk about the boss and its, I guess, stuff at this point, or do we want to pass it around real quick on over to Kreese for any thoughts on the fight or anything?
Sadly, I don't have any thoughts on the fight right now. So I will wait until I have a chance to talk about it later.
Yeah, so go ahead, Arrow.
All right, so the main thing to be aware of is that this boss does resist range and magic. So many of the very good choices for this battle, if you are using some of those wonderful non-synergy debuff choices, may require you to bring an elemental party enchanter. Thankfully, there's some pretty good ones that will work on this stage. So since the boss is actually naturally weak to win, I just want to give a shout out to Fusion being an especially interesting that. So you can immediately start to fight. If you have obviously your EX already maxed and everything, you'll have the wind enchant already on the party when you start. You can go right into it and you don't even have to set up. The necessary tools for this fight, of course, bringing that debuffer who can deal at least 2 debuffs to each enemy, and probably a launcher. I'm going to assume most people are not going to be doing this fight doing the no turns method, just an assumption. But if you are able to do it, then you may not need the launcher because it's based on, I think, like the recast, where they're at in the recast bar when they actually get the green aura. So next up, we got to talk about that red aura from the Zach's shield. That's similar to Zach's shield. That thing's annoying. But so the only way to really deal with red aura is to either use an instant break skill, such as Ramza's shout, Caius's doom debuff. Strago's skills can do it. Arden's EX can do it. There's a couple of other choices, obviously, but you get the point. And the other option is, of course, to wait 2 turns for the shields to be removed. I do want to point out, though, the latter option here can be especially dangerous if the enemy keeps breaking targets during this time frame. So if a single character is being targeted here, you can avoid the deadly attack that they dish out probably to one of your characters with Last Stand, HP damage reduction, of course, or use Edge Call. All right. So the other thing to watch out for in the red aura state is Metal Quake. That thing's nasty because, they already gain a bunch of Brave when they enter red aura state. If you have not depleted any of that Brave with like Gravity Shaves or something, and you don't have a tank that's lowering your HP damage taken, Metal Quake can be quite deadly. It can get over 40k easily and just wipe a party. So I just want you guys to be aware of that. Other options, of course, if you are trying to deal with red aura, if you don't use Edge Call to I guess prevent a single target HP attack, you can use Yuri's Call, or I want to say X Death Call can work here because I think it's a gravity shave as well. So
yeah, it is.
So there you go. So there are a couple ways to kind of deal with that if you are not bringing somebody who can instant break. The green aura, of course, is when they say they're beginning to build power. You'll see like these this aura go around them, and it has like opposite looking raindrops shooting up into the sky. The boss will usually delay themselves like several turns. This is to give you time to launch an attack on the boss. We've already talked about that, but any launch will work. If the boss is launched, when they get to their recast ability, they'll just use HaateXIII, which is just literally brave attacks, which depending on their turn in the red aura is awesome. That's like one turn taken care of already, or potentially that's the second turn, and then red aura is gone. You shave them and you're done. If the boss hasn't been launched, they use the plus version of HaateXIII or HaateXIII. I hope I'm saying it right. And the boss will recover from break. They dispel all the buffs on the target they hit, and this attack can't be avoided. So they can technically live this attack if they have like the last stand passive, because I believe it's just a single HP attack. So there you go. And if you need more assistance, of course, this is just kind of giving a general idea of the fight. If you need more assistance, of course, go to DissidiaFFOO.com, check out Macnall's boss guide there, and you can check out, of course, the call to arms there as well to help you out.
Thank you, Arrow. And check out Arrow's YouTube channel. She always shares her runs there, and so she's always using interesting team comps, and of course the call to arms. You can find all kinds of interesting team comps. I think there was a lot of people that found, there's a lot of gems there. A lot of people that found this fairly unrestricted. So we do have a TCC challenge that is a little more restrictive for this fight. So the TCC challenge for Caius Lost Chapter, and it is currently live, is banning Caius, Ramza, and Kefka. Kefka with his HP silence does, as long as you give it framed, I think Zarathi said that, pretty much nerfs that, and no burst phase. And the TCC Challenge Extreme is you have to use Chocobo or Sylph Summon and no friend unit. So the regular TCC Challenge, no Caius, Ramza, Kefka, no burst phase. The Extreme, add to that Chocobo, Sylph, and no friend. I think there are already, that was Infamous Element. Sorry, Zarathi. Or sorry, Infamous Element for that. So thank you for sharing that information. So that is live, and we will announce winners next week. There are already winners, I believe. If I look at the call to arms right now. No,
I actually did the...
we have a decent number.
I actually did the TCC challenge earlier today, but I'm not recording. My team, by the way, was Cloud, Garnet, and Dark Knight Cecil with a Ramza friend. There we go.
I probably should not have even waited for next week because we already have we already have 20 winners of the regular and 5 winners of the extreme. So I probably should have just announced those this week. But whatever, we'll share it. We'll save it till next week and can get there. So so Caius is an interesting character. Pick him up if you're interested in him. If not, or still trying to chase Ramza's BT. If not, we have another character, and that is a brand new character, Guy. Not any guy, the Guy from Final Fantasy II. And Kreese is going to go over all of the inner workings of Guy. So tell us a little bit about what you know. I know you don't know because the character just launched. You don't know everything about it. But what are your initial impressions of Guy? And we'll, Arrow and I probably can fill in any of the holes here.
Yeah, sure. Guy is a pretty simple character, everything said. His kit's pretty straightforward. He is an Earth-based tank with heavy emphasis on self-heals, party heals, and party enchants and party imperils. So, Earth party enchant, Earth enemy imperil. He can tank. He has an enemy party lock. He has party batteries. He has party heals, and he just reduces party damage taken. That's the general gist of his kit in a nutshell. So, in more definitive terms on what he does, his skill 1, Earth Smash, it's an AoE Brave plus single target HP attack. It applies his first unique buff called Gaia's Ward, and it also heals him based on HP damage dealt. Gaia's Ward raises his attack. It also is one of his first gimmicks, which is that at the end of any ally's turn, it restores their brave based on their max brave. So, Mino says he said that people should skip Guy, but that he pulls everything. So he pulled Guy with tickets.
There you go.
Just FYI. So skill 1 refreshes first buff, Gaia's Sword. Gaia's Sword needs to stay up so that allies get their brave restore at the end of every turn. War Cry. War Cry is skill 2. It is an AoE brave plus AoE HP dump. It's a split damage. It heals the party based on HP damage dealt, with excess HP healing going to brave. It applies to self a unique buff called Wilderness Instincts, which can stack up to 5 times. I'll get to that in a sec. And as I said, skill 2 also applies enemy party lock. So this is his taunt ability. So Wilderness Instincts does a couple things. It causes Guy to take reduced brave damage. It causes him to get increased attack and max brave per stack. And it also increases the party's max brave per stack. Okay. His EX ability is Gaia Rumble. It's on a normal recharge. It's an AoE brave plus AoE HP attack that's executed 3 times. It allows him a free ability use at the turn after it's used. Everything except for LD, so additional ability, skill 1 or skill 2. It also applies Earth Resist Down and gives him his 3rd unique buff, which is Gaia's Strength. Gaia's Strength is a party attack buff and an party Earth enchant. So this is where he gets his Earth enchant for the party from. So this is what he wants to make sure he maintains throughout the whole fight, because he's going to be wanting to enchant the party with Earth and also maintain his apparel as much as possible. It's also a pretty decent, just strong attack. He has a couple notes about his Brave plus and his HP plus. Both heal the party for their 10% of their max HP, just flat. So these are nice trickle HP heals if you need to get them. They're nice ways to go if you don't want to use a skill use, and since Guy only has 6 uses of skill 1 and 6 uses of skill 2, obviously he has more of that because of his free ability uses after his EX, but if you need to reserve skill uses, you can go to those for more healing. Anyways, his additional ability is weak damage up all. It increases party overflow stolen and increases brave damage when they hit weakness for 5 turns. Nothing special, but it's a nice little boost to damage, and since you'll make everyone hit weakness damage due to Earth, it's nice. Finally, his LD ability is Gaia Swing. Gaia Swing is an AoE brave plus AoE HP attack. That's 3 dumps. It deals additional weakness damage. It does Earth Resist Down to the whole enemy team, and also applies a 4th unique buff to him. This unique buff is called Tough Guy, and it is the party aura, basically. It's a party attack aura, party defense aura, and party HP damage taken aura down. So this is where he gets his tankiness for the party, because he reduces party HP damage taken, increases defenses, which it's okay, and party attack up. So in all, he increases party attack, party max brave, party defense, party HP, and reduces party HP damage taken, gives party brave regen, and party Earth enchant. He can apply Earth Resist Down either through EX or through LD. He can apply lock to the enemy team through skill 2, and he can heal the party through skill 2. So he's pretty simple to play. If you need to heal the party, you use skill 2. If Guy needs to heal himself specifically, he uses skill 1. Otherwise, he just conserves ability uses as necessary and just maintains his 4 buffs. Yeah, because, again, he has 4 buffs split across his 4 skills. He's pretty straightforward. He's not too complicated. I think I got everything, though. Arrow, do you think I miss anything, or did I get everything there?
All the important stuff, honestly. I mean, the good thing about this kind of character is that his enchant is aura based. So that means your turn stealing asshole main attackers can go ham as they want and never have to really worry about losing the enchant. So, hey, that's always a bonus. The only thing you got to worry about at that point then is the imperil falling off. And that can probably be easily preventable anyway, because Guy's going to get it turned eventually, maybe. But he's not, whatever. If they're already naturally weak to the earth element, that won't even be a problem either. So I think he's okay. I mean, I know he's been memed a little bit over on the JP side, but honestly, as much crap as people are giving him, he will work probably for the usual 2-month window that most characters have. So, if you're needing another tank, you just want an Earth Party Enchanter, you like collecting all the enchanters, or you're like me and want to collect all the FF2 characters, well, Guy's a guy. He's got a lot of nice little roles he can cover, and he has a lot of different things you can play around with. So enjoy. Mark?
So you have to have him to complete your Gaia enhancement board chocobo panel, because you have to bring him to the cosmos. So
you can carry a 15 CP guy through a cosmos.
Well, you can pick up his 35. Pick up his 35 before you do that. Yeah, so
you can carry dead weight through cosmos nowadays.
He's a must pull. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. What? Again, I think similar to Caius, Guy has a lot of contemporary characters who do similar things. There are other tanks. There are other defensive characters. Beatrix, Kamari, both defensive characters. Obviously, Gladiolus, a great tank. I mean, Warrior of Light still very viable in this era as a damage reducer and a tank. So in the tank, he's got a lot of competition in the tank role. Now, he doesn't have a lot of competition in the Earth Enchant role, but the fact that he has any competition as a elemental enchanter is not good for him, right? I mean, there shouldn't be a lot of elemental enchanters overlapping elements, because we still have elements that are not represented by elemental enchant. So, so Gao also enchants the party with earth. We also have Zande, who does earth damage. Someone said, Realm obviously can do earth damage. Someone was saying, I'll just bring you Y'shtola or Alizé. Okay, well, I'm interested in those runs. I'll be very interested to see Alizé in Leuphania, or even Y'shtola in this current Leuphania. I think that'd be great as your primary earth damage to deal with the orb. But so when it comes to earth damage and it comes to earth enchant, he has competition as well. Obviously, when it comes to physical damage, when it comes to battery, he's so he does a little bit. He's kind of like Paladin Cecil was, jack of all trades, master of none. He's kind of like that in that he does a whole bunch of different things. He is our only tank enchanter, which is kind of cool. So it's not terrible. Like, he's not bad at all. He's not a meme or a meme at all. But the problem we now know is that 8 months from now on his Lost Chapter, he gets nothing new. And I think that, normally we wouldn't talk about that because, that's in the future. JP's in the future. Who cares? Things can change. And maybe things will change. But it's a really good argument to skip on Guy if you're like on the fence, like, oh, maybe not. As long as your roster has all those other characters combined, you can get through this Leuphania over it. There's just not much. To have a character that you're going to pull on and use, and maybe not use very much, and then not get a tuning pass 8 months from now, except for the high armor plus. Oh, that's not good. Infamous Element says, what else is sad? Aphma has 30% HP reduction on her LD for the party. It's kind of a kick in the nuts to Guy. So, yeah, I agree. I'm sorry. I missed a couple. Nebelong asking to share a link for something. Yeah, you did. That's fine. So, obviously, when I'm talking, I'm not paying attention to chat. So, I feel bad. Somebody was saying in chat earlier that, I just watched his event, and he seems like such a nice guy, and he is such a nice guy. And if you're a fan of Gaia, if you're a fan of Final Fantasy II, pick him up. You're not going to regret him. He works well with the characters from Final Fantasy II. And again, if you didn't pull Gao and you didn't pull Xande, he's a good pickup for Earth Element. If you didn't pick up any of the other kind of defensive characters, Beatrix, Kamari, and Gladiolus is your only tank, or Warrior of Light's your only tank, he's not a bad option. For a tank to be locked behind Element, yeah, that's arguably maybe worse than a tank that's not. But yeah, I'm undecided. I obviously did my free pull and didn't get anything, but I don't think I'm gonna chase Gao or Guy or whatever's. I have Gao Guy, whatever this guy's name is. I don't think I'm gonna chase him, but I might throw a few tickets here. Raw Life does remind us that he does use axes, which is an underused weapon class unless you like equipping 1-star armor and weapons in the game. So if you like axes, then that axe throwing has become popular. You can go to those like axe throwing bars or axe throwing arcades. I don't know what you call them, like where you go throw axes. It's like a bowling alley with axe throwing. Jet. I think Jet and Guy and of course my X-Death use axes. So besides that, they're so underused in Defo that they are lumped together with great swords. So yeah, well let's look at the podcast polls and you can probably guess. As one of the least hyped characters in the world, one person.
There's a lot of skips.
This is on 10 servers. One person who apparently hadn't yet picked up Ramza's BT, willing to pity Ramza's BT. 2 people, including Arrow, willing to pity Guy's LD. 5 willing to gem, 32 willing to use tickets, 99 skipping, and the majority of people not even filling out the survey because poor Guy. Yeah, ouch. I feel bad. Well, we haven't gotten to the Leuphania yet, and so we'll talk about it next week. You need constant earth damage, and so Guy enchanting your party with earth, Gao enchanting your party with earth, Xande doing consistent earth damage, all very good options. Realm doing consistent earth damage, all very good options. Zerathi saying this banner is one of the best arguments for free multis. I was going to skip. Now I'm spending resources because I got his whatever in the free pull. So yeah, Yish. Yeah, good luck. I'm more than happy to watch your Yish runs.
No, I want to see somebody make the twins work because they do have Earth on skill 1 with that thunder element attached as well. If you make it work, show me a screenshot. I'll be very happy to give you a shout out.
I don't think that's enough earth damage.
Yeah, the call to arms is live, so please go make it so. I'm excited. But yeah, we'll cover that next week. Enjoy that when we can. So I don't think we're hating on Guy. Guy does what he does fairly well. It's just that a lot of other people do a lot of what he does already. And for most of us at this point, he's probably not somebody that we need in our roster. So maybe he's someone that needs in your roster. And if that's the case, pull and good luck. Well, Crease, are there some questions from? We didn't have time for a host discussion last week, so maybe we have time for a few questions tonight from our TCC Discord host discussion podcast questions.
Yeah, sure. We can answer some questions tonight. Let's see. Summon Biscuits has a question that's from a couple weeks ago. Do the co-hosts have any superstitious rituals that you use for polls? I guess I'll go first with this. I don't really have any superstitious rituals that I have, though I have superstitions for my cutoffs for ticket pulling. For example, when I'm deciding when to stop ticket pulling, I usually decide I'm going to go to like a round number. For example, I'll stop at a even 50. So for example, I'll stop when I have 450 tickets left, or 350 or 300 tickets left. But I won't exactly stop there. I'll say I'll go to the next gold orb that I see after that many tickets, after I hit that ticket thing. So that's my superstitious ritual. Arrow?
Don't do your pulls on camera, because apparently that is the worst luck you can give yourself. That's what I've learned so far. But before that, toilet pulls, man, I got to tell you, I wish I could go back to doing them almost. I know that's probably a TMI, but toilet pulls are legit. Anyway, Mark?
Yeah, it's super gross. Yeah, I just do my polls and then upload them to YouTube. That seems to work well for me. So that's kind of post poll. I'm not really sure. Don't drink and pull. Yeah. No, I don't have any superstitions. I pull on everything, and it works out about as much as you would suspect. So, yeah. Yeah, you just pull whenever. Yeah, this infamous element says if you're me, you just pull whenever and you get what you want, and then that you call it good. So, it's nice.
Okay. Yoshi Pasta asks, do you think GL can bring some certain reworks from GP over early, since some of them can come over and not break the game? Yoshi Pasta specifically uses the example of Gabrant that they are thinking of as potentially safe to bring over early. I'm not familiar with Gabrant's rework, so I can't speak to the specific example myself. I could imagine scenarios where they could probably slot in an early rework as like a bonus for like an early LD sort of situation. But I get the feeling that we're going to probably see more situations, and Black Cloud saying that Gabrant's next month. This made more sense when we were 3 or 4 weeks back. Yeah, sorry. So this question made more sense 3 weeks ago. Anyways, what I was saying was, I could imagine situations. I think what we're going to see more is that they're going to go lean in more for the global first LD situation, where we get characters we get new LDs before Japan, instead of them trying to just make characters come early and messing with the calendar for their arrival. Arrow, what do you think?
I wish they've done it, but considering the precedent that's been set, no, we're not going to get reworks early if there's reworks in mind for characters at a certain point. That's just the precedent that seems set. I'm going to leave it there. Mark?
Yeah, no, I think they've clearly said, early LDs, and we haven't really gotten reworks we've never really gotten early reworks. I mean, we've gotten early weapons. We've gotten GL firsts, but so yeah, I would expect to see more GL first LDs. It's good for business. Generally tied with abysses. I think you're going to see more of that, whether it's permanent abyss content or temporary abyss content. I think that's kind of the precedent they have set for the future of the GL community. I should talk into my microphone as I'm trying to find who's this other guy that I'm going to use on this fight. Oh, that's his name. So that's who's going to do that. There you go. Yeah, great. Next question.
I Anaheim asks, how useful would a character niche be if they enchanted damage type instead of element type? For example, a character that enabled all damage to be counted as range damage type. And this will be a quick question. I think a couple people already answered with their own opinions in the podcast questions channel. I think in general, it's probably going to be worse out of very, very, very few exceptions and very specific fight types. In general, enchanting elements just skips damage types in every case. Like, elements supersede damage types. They've already made it work that way in the combat system. So specifically, it doesn't matter. You just party enchant, party impair, enemy party imperil, and you get past damage types. You don't have to worry about it. So having someone enchant everyone to deal range damage doesn't really matter in that context. You just bring someone who enchants an element, and you're good to go. The only exception to that would be where you have a boss that resists all elements, and they just don't do that anymore. So I think that's a moot point. I just don't see that ever happening at this point, not with the way the game's designed. Arrow, do you agree with my assessment?
I think it could be interesting, especially if the character imperils the damage type. But my question is, would it also work like how elemental enchantments work? Could it stack? Like, I don't know, if you already use range skills, would it improve the damage of range skills? Or you know what I mean? Like, if it doesn't do that, I wouldn't be interested. I don't see it in my mind being very useful. So I don't know. They'd have to probably give that character some extra stuff to do, but it could be a thing that they might try one day. You never know with this game. I remember we were talking about one time how we felt break bonus should matter more, and I think like a couple weeks later, Null came out, and then break bonuses kind of mattered again for just a little while. So there's just they have things they could still try out and play with. I'd say it could be a wait and see type of thing.
Mino says, whoever said the second event cutscene was touching was right. Guy can have all my resources.
You already get Gaia's kit. It's too late for that.
Oh, well, how about one more question, Grace?
Okay. PoteauCedar asks, now that we're only getting one new character a month, do you believe that the lost chapters will slow down as well once it gets caught up? If so, what would you like to see as an event in the place of the second lost chapter? I feel like Japan can already answer what they've been doing, right?
Yep.
They've caught up. Someone more familiar with Japan's schedule, can you tell me what's going on there?
Yeah, so they're only going to be getting one LC a month in the Japanese version of the game, and now what's the new type of event? There's another type of event that no, it's not quite caught up. So yeah, they're doing something.
Mid stories for characters is what HaateXIII's saying.
Yeah, so they're not quite at that point. So we've got another 8-9 months
close.
before we catch up, but they will be caught up soon. And then so there will be another type of event. So
we're close enough that we'll be finding out when Japan catches up very soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Think that's good for tonight?
I think that is good for tonight. We got save some stuff for coming weeks, including I had a very busy day, so I wasn't home to do my normal planning for the show. But I do want to have a little bit of a contest. So while you all are listening, I'll just talk a little bit about that. Where is my camera here? Yeah, here it is. I have... Hold on. Oh. Sorry there. I have already given 5 of the colored play art trading arts, DissidiaFFOO trading arts. Oh, I just lost Zidon's head. That was terrible. After I had glued it here, obviously, I just took him off by his head. But I have a full set of the mannequins, including Lightning, Zidane, Titus, Cloud, and Squall. They are really cool looking. Let me see if I can get in here. And I'll do a little YouTube video on this too about the contest. So I have they're the DissidiaFFOO trading arts. They are the mannequin versions of those 5 protagonists. I would like to give the whole set away, including Zidane's head fell off. Now it had broke because their heads are kind of. Oh no, it didn't break. No, he's fine. He's fine. Raw life. It's okay. Zidane is fine. He's right there. Look at. He's happy. He's not hurt. He has a head, tail, mage
okay.
mashers. He's doing fine. He's okay. Take a breath. It's okay. He's okay. I'm okay. Don't worry about it. Yep. But I have the full set of the mannequins to give away, and I'd give them away in their boxes with the case to one person after this month. So I want to do this as kind of a 3rd anniversary giveaway for the for DissidiaFFOO. And how we're going to do that is everyone who is a sub, whether you have whether you are a Twitch sub, whether you are a Prime sub, whether you've subbed with Amazon Prime, whether you're tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, whether you've received a gift sub, you will be entered into the drawing, as I've done previously, for the full set. I want to give away the full set, so you'd have all 5 of the mannequins. Now, one thing I'm going to do for this month, so this will be for the rest of February, and I'll draw at the end of February or the beginning of March, the 1st of March. One thing I'm going to do is, if you gift a sub, I will give you additional entries, like additional ticket or additional draw for every gift sub you give to the channel this anniversary month. So if you give 10 gift subs, you would be entered 10 times. If you give 5 gift subs, you'd be entered 5 times. And all the people that you've gifted subs to would also be entered 1 time. So that's how that would work. Just the easiest way to do that. So some incentive if you want to give some gift subs. May be able to do some with bits too. I would, if you cheer during the show, I'd consider that as well as an entry. So we'll do some other giveaways in those who can't support the podcast. This is just a way to help those who do support the podcast, and still doesn't happen, but sounds it. Sarathi, thank you for this up. And so make sure you re-up your sub this month if you are following us and continuing to sub. Appreciate that. And if you want to consider supporting the podcast and the channel more. And then we would potentially use some of that extra resources if we do get a lot of people supporting the show to give some gift cards and some mug passes to maybe our podcast audience, our Discord audience, those people who could not financially support the show. And I do have a couple because Sipes, who got one of our $10 winnings from the GL First contest, offered to split his up into 2. So I have 2 other drawings as well. So J Plastics, thank you for the Prime. 500 bits, HaateXIII. Yeah, that'd be more than appropriate for one. Thank you, Zarathi. I gotta have a pen or something to write this down for the tiered subs. Thank you for the 5 gifts.
Too, because he gave us all random ones.
Yes, I have that. I get all that information. Thankfully. So yes, thank you. And I'll have a YouTube video out on that as well, and so make sure we'll continue to talk about that. So if that's something you're interested in, you want a chance to win those, you'll get the full set of the mannequins, so the 5 mannequin versions, and I think they're really cool. Not these, I have the packaged ones. I have an extra set. This is my set, and so I have one that's unopened. Well, they're open, but they're not they're in their box in their sealed bag, but the box is open, so I could make sure that we got 2 sets. All right, well, looking ahead, we have HaateXIII with Ultimecia Burst and Pinello LD, Jack's event as LC, on the 11th, and Tier 20 of Dimensions and Entropy with Cryos LD on the 19th, and then we will have on the 22nd the next Squex community stream. It is a short month, so it's going to be a little bit more spread out over the next couple months or next couple weeks, but keep connected. Thank you to Crease. Thank you to Arrow. Thank you, all of you who are hanging out with us. Thank you for your continued support. We'll stay a little bit. Yes, they're unassembled but opened. And some of you have received ones that I've sent out, the painted ones. So you can share those. Yeah, Mithrin, you just hang out. You just come hang out, and you might get a sub. That's how it works. So for those of you who can't financially support us, you just show up. Just show up. Show up on a Thursday night or a Friday morning, wherever you are. Maybe it's 3 a.m. You just turn your computer on. Maybe you're in your bed. You're sleeping. I don't know. I can't see you. This camera doesn't go two ways. It's a one-way camera. I don't know what you're doing. Maybe you're in the bathroom pulling. I don't know. That's your business. It doesn't matter to me. And you might get a gift sub. So, hey, win-win-win. This has been episode 138 of the Crystal Chronicles, recorded on February 4, 2021. Good luck on all your guy pulls. Check out all our links below. TCC Podcast. Connect to our Discord. Like, sub, ring the bell for notifications. Do, if you're interested in entering to win those 5 figures. Come to Twitch. Give us a sub. Give us a few extras. We appreciate all your support. Appreciate all of you being with us live every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard. And until next week, friends, good luck. Goodbye.